Hello, I am Mike of Neil Dice. This is the Kerbal Space Program. I am currently looking at Duna. And you may wonder why I'm looking at Duna all of a sudden. The answer being that I got a contract to get science from around Duna. Science from the surface of Duna, I should say. And I kind of went, oh, okay, let's just grab the thermometer, which is down there, and it's like, toggle display, log temperature. And I suddenly realised I hadn't actually transmitted the science, somewhat to my surprise. So apparently I'd landed this thing on Duna and just completely forgot to do any of the science. So I actually went through all the instruments and grabbed all the science. Now, my crew report, for example, I have not transmitted my crew report. Now, once I did all my crew reporting, it's not obvious, but I have over 1,000 science now. Let's just keep that. So I'm just going to quickly do. Let's see if there's any that. Because certain reports. Now, probably I was just thinking in terms of I will recover all of this, but I honestly don't know if I'm going to be able to recover this craft, and it's going to be quite some time. If I bring up, it's going to be 185 days before I even try and get back. So yeah, so let's. All right, we'll keep all of those. So I'm going to get Bill here to go out and get all those experiments and get all the data and chuck it back in the craft. In fact, I think I may have actually done that. I think which is why I was able to transmit. So I can get some of the data right now. And given that the report is, you get 40 science for it, regardless, I might as well just transmit that report, Ooh, if I run out of electric charge. I've run out of electric charge. Now it says I've got 400 left, which means that probably one of these I've turned off one of these batteries. There we go. Am I not getting any solar? I'm getting a bit of solar, not very much. Anyway, that's that transmitted. So now I have over 1,000 science. Woo! Now, unfortunately, Bill is just going to have to sit there now. I'm probably going to redo those experiments before he ever takes off, if he ever does get to take off. Or I've worked out I've got about enough delta V in that thing to get him to orbit. I don't think I've got enough to get him back. Bit of problem. So now I've got enough science to get. I didn't want to right click that, but I'll get that. I can now get the last thing. Right, I have now filled up the tech tree. So what am I going to do with science now? I've got 55 science. What am I going to do that? Well, I'm going to go to the admin building. And what am I looking for? Right, so this research rights sellout. I might have enough science to do this. We can make you a quick buck from the science the R&D team has collected by selling exclusive research rights to the highest bidder. Yes, that means we wouldn't be able to make use of that science ourselves, but for exclusive rights, I'm sure we can fetch a pretty penny from large agency or conglomerate. So I'm just going to sell 100% of my science, going to give me quite a few funds to begin with. It's going to take 55.4 science, which is what I've got. I now have 0 science, but now all my science gets turned into money. Anyway, enough of that. So that was the thing I just noticed. I was just casually, I just was going through the, ooh. Sorry. I was just going through these, right? And I was just having a look at my contracts. What I wanted was what I just got a second ago, which is do a high resolution scan of Gilly. Brilliant. I want that. I want those contracts. I don't want any of these. These contracts are boring. I don't like them. And I saw one, but I can still do science data from the surface of Eve. I can't actually do science data from the surface of Eve because the land I have on Eve does not have enough power and can't generate enough power to do anything with that, but never mind. But I got one from Duna. I thought, I've got a thing on the surface of Duna. Wait a minute, I've got tons of science. So, yeah, I was just fiddling around with that, and that's what I found. Right. However, I still have got people stuck in the Mun, is what I've got at the minute. So I am now going to deal with them. Where are we? We're down here. So I'm going to catch up with where I left my intrepid Kerbal as she was tracking across the dusty wastes of the Mun, and to get to Mun Hopper III.
So, catching up with Nabella Kerman. Nabella Kerman has a long walk ahead of her, as you can see. Wow, this took a long time. I basically spent an hour and 20 minutes, nearly an hour and a half, with my hand stuck on the Shift and W keys. I actually had to change hands twice because I was cramping up. And in fact, I had time to do a fair amount of Japanese homework. I'm going through the Genki textbook, and I was able to do an exercise, all the exercises for one of the chapters, because I just had to stick my hand on Shift and W for ages and ages and ages. But eventually, she came upon Moonlander 3. I was able to board, and then basically batten down the hatches and get ready to go and rescue Billy Kerman.
Okay, so Mun Hopper 3, after all that. Mun Hopper 3, hurrah. Mun Hopper 1, way over there in bits. It took me an hour and a half to walk here. So I ain't walking back again. Which means I'm going to try and hover back. Oh, I'm going to try and fly back. Now, this is where the last time it went horribly, horribly wrong. So I seem to be am I targeting Mun Hopper 1? I'm targeting Mun Hopper 1, that's what I want. So, here's the question, can I actually get over there? I should do some clever things. There's some clever things I could do. Like, I could, if I grab the, well actually I don't need the drills down in a minute because I'm full of fuel. So I'm retracting the drills. Could do with getting rid of the ore because it's weighing me down. I have less delta V because of the ore, but I should have enough. So which CPU are you? You are CPU 2. I'm going to open up CPU 1. Now there are clever things you can do. I'm just going to stick that behind my face where you don't really have to. Well, I'll stick there. We don't really have to pay that much attention to it. There are clever things you can do with the CPU cores. One of which is have automatic boot up scripts, and I don't actually know how to do that. That's actually CPU 2. I thought it was CPU. Oh, I don't care. You can add boot up scripts so that as soon as it's open, they're both CPU 2. That's activated. So as soon as it powered on, something happens to it, right? And this is useful for things like, for example, I could then put an action group for gears. So whenever the gears are down, whichever one of these two CPUs will power up, it will immediately go to its boot script, which will immediately activate the leg balancing. Right. So I don't need to do that manually. I don't need to, open up the terminal and quick, switch to 0 and run leg balance, which I kind of have to do at the minute. And hope that I actually type that in right. Alright, let's bring up CPU 2. Chuck that there. Switch to 0, which I shouldn't do because that's the archive and that's actually way, way, way far away. And this is going to be used. This is going to be for my hover script, which I have changed to hopefully help me in what I'm about to do, which is try and fly over there without crashing into things. So I'm going to hit Action Group 1, which is retracting the solar panels. Getting some noise on the mic. I don't know whether that's from the hover script. Alright, let's turn on LCS, let's turn on SAS. And let's go for this. Smart person would have done a quick save. Right, so off we go. Let's go a bit more up. Make sure I can get over that. One with having all these toolbars is that all these new mods is that they're impinging on. Whoa, they're impinging on, where that display is, which is slightly aggravating. Okay, that's so my endpoint is beginning to get to where I want it to be. I'm actually going to put my Apple Access over it. I think that is going to be my endpoint. Now I'm just going to orient myself up. So if anything goes wrong, I can just go up. Oh, hearing the servos go mad underneath me. What's the sled like? The sled was really good. Quite down. It's really flat just a moment ago. So I'm not sure whether I'm going to get over that ridge. I'm actually not sure if I want to get over that ridge. Right, so that's point retrograde. That's point retrograde as far as the surface was concerned. One of the problems I had was I had my nav bolt in the wrong mode. I had it in I had it in target mode when it should have been in surface mode. Now, okay. I'm going to try and do it again, constant altitude, so keep my vertical speeds. Let's get off that then. Keep my vertical speed from dropping too much. Still going up, which I don't want, so. It looks like I'm actually shooting. Okay, so my vertical speeds, my horizontal speed's coming down. Oh, right. Let's go, this is point straight to retrograde. Forget everything else for the moment. Right, now I'm going to run hover, and that should be setting my Alright, so I've bounced up a bit much. So it's setting my hover and I haven't. There's certain things I haven't fixed about the. Click the wrong thing. Right. Okay. So I'm now more or less hovering, and now what I want to do is I want to start heading down. Actually, what I can do is I think if I just hit 9. Turn that off yet, right? We'll just... Right. What I'm going to do is I'm now reasonably good. What's the slope like? A bit too much. Okay. Well, I'll sort that when I get down to hovering. So I'm now gonna fall out the sky. Are my lights on? My lights are on. Good. And now I'm going to keep an eye on my suicide burn distance. This has been quite cheap in terms of delta V, actually. Horizontal speeds 1 and a bit meters a second, which is a bit more than I'd like. Don't care too much. Wait till that comes down to maybe 200. So at each stage, I can now run the hover script and be reasonably in control of where I am. And maybe even think about hovering over more towards somewhere with a better slope. So when this hits 0, then I hit enter on this key on that terminal. Assuming I'm going to smash to the ground, which I don't think I'm going to. Now the slope's higher than I would like here, and I'm also not where I want to. I'm not pointing at the. I want to go more towards the Mun Hopper. So we're going to turn around. While we hover for a bit. I've got minutes and minutes of hover. Well, I've got 11 minutes of hover according to this. So I'm okay with that. Let's turn around. So I'm pointing at Mun Hopper 1. And I think I'm actually going to use the RCS is not brilliant for this because it's a big heavy craft. But if I point towards Mun Hopper, I think I will go to target mode this time. I can give myself a bit of horizontal speed in the direction I want to go. Everything's going kind of slow, and I don't know how much of that is just this is a big slow craft, and how much is of it is just the game actually taking a little time to recover from everything I'm doing. So yeah, let's try getting. Right, so I've rechanged my keys because my original keys were to do with oh, I'm drifting all over the place. I've hopefully locked steering to up. But I'm not quite sure if my keys are working the way I think they should. Now the 7 and 8 keys are changing my preferred height. But I don't really want to do that for all 200 odd meters. Ideally, I'd have come up with something that would enable me to set my speed is actually really what I want to do. So I can say now lower me down at 4 meters a second, or what have you. But I don't know that's not a capability I have. But I can hit the 7 key, and it will drop my aimed height. But that's going to be 200 odd key clicks to get down. Now at this stage what I'm doing, I've just dropped it down to 197, so it's going to drop quite a bit, and then it's going to have to compensate. So I went as low as 193 when I did that, and obviously that is not necessarily something I want to do. When I'm very close to the ground. Okay, so I've got 9 minutes of hover left. My steering is successfully locked. See, I'm moving very slowly across the ground. Not necessarily in the way I want to go. Slope is still bad. It says the slope's only about 9-ish where I am, where the actual crash site is, but I'm not convinced. Now let's go down a whole bunch. So it's just going to drift now because I've gone down so far that the throttle is just going to be locked to 0 for a bit, which might mean I may go quite a bit below. That's not bad. I went down to 171. Right, now I want to start slowing my speed. Let's put this onto surface. Slope is still claiming to be quite a lot higher than it is, than the Mun Hopper seemed to think it was when it crashed. So bring the horizontal speed down. RCS is really not up to the job to do this quickly. I think I'm actually drifting away now. I would love to have a readout in terms of let's go all the way down to 100. I would love to have a readout in terms of my speed in terms of literally in terms of my fore and literally in terms of the RCS. So what is my velocity as far as the starboard and port? What's my velocity in terms of it's actually top? I think it's top and bottom is the other one. Oop. I was like 6 meters. Trying to work out which way. So I went actually down to about 94. So I went about 6 meters up. So I've gone about 7 meters up. So that's about a 7%. It's not it's not terrible, but obviously I would rather I didn't land like that. I'm definitely drifting away. I can hover at this level for about 10 minutes, but when I do a bigger burn, then obviously so down we go even further. This is really I really need to. I mean, I know how to do a thing where you just say go down at 4 meters a second or 2 meters a second. Pick a meters per second and go down that fast. But I have not put that functionality into this. Go down another 10. That. So I'm not going to use the hover anymore. I'm just going to do it manually. Now you can see the legs. One leg is locked as low as it can go. One leg is locked as high as it can go. Drifting slightly. Come very slowly. So I'm just doing this manually, keeping an eye on my vertical speed there and adjusting my throttle to get changes, which is really all the hover scripts do, but the hover scripts hopefully do it better. Now what I'm hoping is that a 19.4 degree slope is in fact something this craft can cope with. So I really want to aim, I want to land as gently as possible and with as little horizontal speed as possible. Going up now. Gently does it. Where this is where a computer would be great, because it can say things like, it can really just tune everything down. So I'm going absolutely the speed I want. And I have no idea if this is going to remain upright. Bounced, it's annoying. I'm going to go with no. No, it will not remain upright. Well, I may have to end on a bit of a cliffhanger. Well, I'm going to go up that way. That looks much better. Because this has been quite a while already. Right, let's turn. And so, I'm going to leave it here. I'm going to leave it right here is where I'm going to leave it. I'm going to say thanks very much for watching. As I try and recover from the change in speed. Thanks so much for watching. Please hit like and subscribe if you've been enjoying these videos. I need to sort some stuff out here. And right, as I start hovering again, please hit like and subscribe if you're enjoying these videos. Come visit Nearly Enough Dice at nearlyenoughdicecom. And I just hope we don't fall out the sky. Until next time, reach for the stars. And try not to crash.